Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, it's those guys. I'm your host, Matt Marrero, along with the other host,
Tristan Walter.
And Tristan, today, it's another episode
I
of
am
Friday
the King
Night.
of Monsters.
What? No, it's not.
I said I'm the King of Monsters.
Yes, you are the king, and I'm the king of card games. So, that's as much as yes. So, we are doing another episode of Friday Night Movies, and we are actually talking about Godzilla 2014. We jumped ahead 50 years because of how long we were taking. We were taking 50 years to do the Godzilla movies in order. So we jumped that far ahead because that new Godzilla movie's coming up, which is called King of the Monsters. So because of that, I thought, you know what, let's actually jump ahead. It hit me. I think it just hit me like, wait a minute. Like, I think people were talking about screenings or, like, you know, coming up soon, and I was like, wait, what the fuck? And that's why, so immediately I was like, Tristan, you were telling me we should do this a while ago. Let's do it.
Well,
I mean,
I was cool with doing it in order too, but now, like, that the new one is coming out, I'm like, gee, we should probably get around to 2014.
Yeah, and it's not like it affects the continuity at all. It's just us doing a newer one in our stream of older ones, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we could have jumped to 1996 Godzilla. Like, it doesn't matter, you know? But what I do like is that this is nothing like 1996 Godzilla. Or was it? I think it was 97, actually. Either way, it was nothing like that one. And I loved it. Well, no, because the problem... Okay, so we're not going to go into in-depth because it has been a while since I've actually sat down and watched it in full. I just saw some clips of it on the El Rey Network when they were doing a marathon around Christmas and New Year's.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I saw the movie in the background, but I didn't really sit down. I think the biggest thing that really... I don't know about you, Tristan, but I think it just... is something that I don't want to speak for the American people, and again, I don't know if you can either, but I think that times have changed and I don't know if it was well received at the time, but in general, though, the idea of a romance in a film, any kind of romance in a film, I think it's come to the point where people are more concerned about a family dynamic rather than the will they, won't they dynamic.
Right, yeah.
So I think when looking at the original Godzilla film, minus all of the other issues that were present in the film, I know that one that at least you and I were kind of like, all right, we don't care, especially when we were kids at the time, is the idea like, oh, are they going to get together? Oh, my God, they're in love. Like, look, I'm not saying that a romance angle can't happen in a movie, especially Godzilla ones. It happens in Japan all the time. I mean, the original one kind of had this, like Gojira kind of had this sort of love triangle thing going.
Right.
But still, the issue is that it just, I don't know, just something about it didn't really connect with me when I first saw it. Again, I was a child. Now I think if I was a child watching this, I would resonate with the kid and would hope that the mom and the dad, you know, like, meet with the kid again and all that stuff, and hopefully they don't die, because, again, it's something that anyone can connect to. You know, a mom, a dad, or a kid. You potentially are one of three.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah. Everyone was a child once.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And, like, even if you aren't, like, a parent, you know, right now either, you can still connect with the idea of, like, because everybody wants the family to come back together at the end.
Yes. Even you, someone who loves Godzilla's wanton destruction, you're not sitting there like, I hope that family dies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think it was done very well in that regard, because, again, it's just something that I think people can relate to, and it's very hard to find someone, I think, unless they're like a super edgy teen that's like, I don't give a shit about them. I mean, you know, like, I think it's just like, all right, dude, like, son, the edge, you know, like, calm down. So that's how it comes off to me, though. Like, it's just like, all right, look, I like Linkin Park as much as the next guy, but, like, calm the fuck down. So,
all right.
You do too, but again, calm the fuck down to that teenager, you know?
Okay, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So but I think that the one problem with this...
musical taste into this.
Our musical taste, motherfucker. So But what I'm getting at though is I think the only really big problem in the movie is one that I heard people say online years before I watched this, and I thought that they were all exaggerating. And my God, were they not exaggerating? There was way too little both Godzilla or at the very least monster fighting in this film. Now there was wanton destruction. There was. So at first, for like the good, I'm going to say maybe like an hour 15, I was cool with the whole destruction porn scenario. You know, like, oh, the big cities are getting destroyed. Dun 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 dun. Like, I was okay with that.
They're also building up the story too.
Yes, but I think the issue is that after a while it's like, okay, so can these guys fight each other? And then they still kept on jumping right to other people, and it's like, guys, look, I know what's going on the ground, them reacting, that's cool, but that's what we've gotten the entire movie. Can I see Godzilla fuck with these two monsters that, by the way, are not from Monster Hunter? Shush, don't say it. It's like the anime. These are not from Monster Hunter.
They're not.
They kind of look like, if you squint a little, they look like that one that's really popular in Monster Hunter World.
Okay.
If you squint a little.
Played Monster Hunter myself.
No,
so.
but wasn't that monster in Ultimate, Smash Brothers Ultimate?
The dragon?
Yeah.
I don't really see how they resemble the dragon.
I said if you squint.
Personally.
I didn't say if you have 20/20 vision and you're staring right at it. I'm just saying that, like, their design it does not seem kaiju inspired. Like, I don't look at them and think of them as Japanese kaiju.
Okay. Yeah, I can understand that.
Yes. Also, they remind me of the monsters from the anime, which those definitely look like something from Monster Hunter, like the winged. The ones that were flying?
Right. You mean like the 90s Godzilla anime with the 99 one?
No. Yeah, the anime that we saw and reviewed. Yeah, those flying dark, they were like, yeah, they had like weird wings.
Oh, no, you mean
yes.
On Netflix. Okay, yeah.
There is only one Godzilla, actually no, there's technically two Godzilla animes, but we're not talking about the 70s one. We've only reviewed the Netflix one. Have you seen the 70s one? I've never seen that.
No, I thought you were talking about, well, that wouldn't have been, that's not an anime, sorry.
No, unless I would make a joke calling it an anime just to fuck with you, but no, the cartoon, the 90s Zilla cartoon. Yeah, I have not seen that. I heard it was good.
I have. Yeah, no, I actually love that series as a kid.
That's funny. But yeah, no, I just think, so back to getting away from the monster designs for a second, I just think we needed more actual fighting. And I think it kind of, not that it was a cop-out, but they did this thing, and it's funny, it seems like a Warner Brothers thing. When you watch Warner Brothers superhero movies, you notice this, where if there needs to be a lot of CG, they'll cut away from it just to be like, see this other thing that we're not spending as much money on?
Yeah.
And it seems like they did that with Godzilla. Now, I'm not saying that they don't cut away in the Japanese films. Of course they do. Like, you're going to show the reaction to what's going on in the background. Like, I totally get it. But there was just something towards the end of this movie where I'm like, look, I care about him and his family. Like, I really do. But can we just see the monsters fighting? That's kind of what we built up to at this point. Like, you wouldn't have Frankenstein versus the Wolfman and then just see their spouses being like, oh my goodness, look at that happening over there. No, you want to see them claw at each other and go for the jugular.
Yeah.
That's at first. No, because the thing is, at first, like, when they're going through the city and it's like, there's nothing that can stop this, I'm like, yes, let me see their reactions. But at the end, it's like, I've seen this for more than an hour now. Can we get punchy?
Right.
You know? Like, it would be like having an entire movie, in a funny way, that's kind of mostly what Dragon Ball Super Broly was, but an entire movie only based on fighting for Dragon Ball Z and then consistently cutting to other people. not just in the beginning, mostly, but then through, and like the beginning parts of the movie are them powering up, and it's just cutting to, wow, he's getting even stronger. Wow, they're getting even stronger. And then by the end, when they finally start clashing, it just cuts to Krillin and Roshi being like, my God, look at that. And it's like, yes, look at that. I would like to see it, please. That's the thing. Like, in a movie like this, yes, you're there for the human drama because obviously the Japanese versions always had the human drama, but you also want to see monsters fighting each other, which if this wasn't that kind of movie, then I'd be okay with it. Like if it was just Godzilla running through cities, I'd be fine with that. But because they introduced those two monsters, it leads me to believe we're going to get some really cool fight scenes, but it just felt like they cut away during crucial parts, and then it's like, well, when we cut away, did you know that Godzilla got up? And it's like, boy, like I just want there to be like a budget counter of how much they saved by not showing Godzilla getting up.
Yeah.
Because they had to save a decent chunk of money by not showing Godzilla getting up, or showing a monster flying to the or crawling to the other side of the of the city. It's just like you cut to the humans going, oh my goodness, and then all of a sudden, oh, I see it over here. You didn't see it move from there to there? No, I did not. Well, thank goodness. The budget could not have dealt with you seeing it move from one side of the city to the other.
Right.
Again, this is towards the later end, towards like the main event, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is. Like you were making a reference earlier to like a WWE match, sort of, pre-podcast. It would be like during the matches. I've shown you main events before. You know, you've seen a little bit WWE here and there. They'll cut to a crowd reaction, but they don't let that dominate the actual action.
Right.
If you will. Yes. So, like, they'll show crowd reactions after the dude won in a crazy way, and it's like, I can't believe he just pulled that win off. And then or like a crazy move, and then they jump to the crowd. But as the two dudes or two ladies are grappling, you don't have them looking at the crowd. Because it's like, they're doing that in that ring. You should see that. So that's my only issue with the movie towards the end. But throughout the film, I think that they set up the scenes, especially with the monsters going through the cities, causing destruction, very well. And I was on the edge of my seat pretty much throughout the entire film in how they set all that up.
Yeah.
And it was brilliantly done. So tell me what parts, Tristan, you got the heebie-jeebies. Because I can think of two immediately.
Yeah. I mean, they're definitely probably my favorite scene in the entire movie is when I think it's Lieutenant Brody. They've just gotten out of it. Basically looks like a Chinatown almost in they're in San Francisco at that time.
Yeah, so it literally is. It literally is. Yes.
Yes. Okay. And he's just blown up the nest. And the female Muto, hears him as he's getting away, and it looks at him. And then there's a piece of building crumbles, and you just see the blue light start from the tip of Godzilla's tail as it raises through the smoke, and just goes. You follow it all the way up around his back and to his head, and then you can even see like his chest swell up. And then he just lets loose the jet. Like, I get goosebumps every time I see that scene. I thought that was beautifully done.
So for me, I'm thinking of goosebumps in regards to, like, being terrified in a way. Because I'm not going to lie, that's a great scene. But for me, it's when they're on the bridge and they see Godzilla.
Yeah.
The kids, and they're in the school bus.
In the bus. Yeah.
Yes. It was intense. I mean, the fact that it's, Godzilla's raising, out of the water. All of the submarines are like, well, we can't submerge. And frankly, even if we were in the actual fucking submarine right now, we'd probably turn around and die in there. So, like, flip and die. So, I'm pretty sure we're fucked. And then it finally comes out of the water, and it just screams, and this bus driver's like, ha, fuck all of you. Like, literally, all it takes is one bus driver to tell the military to fuck off, and I'm like, this is the hero of the movie.
Right.
This is the true hero right here. Well, the military is like, what if we shoot it harder? And it's like, thanks, Goku. This bus driver's like, I'm leaving.
Yeah, I love, like, one of the, soldiers on the bridge. It's like, ceasefire. There's still civilians on the bridge.
Yes.
Lots of stuff that are obviously going haywire.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think, obviously people were terrified, and that's kind of, it's one of those, so interesting point about the movie I want to mention to you. Other than one scene, which literally was the scene where one of the Mutos at the end was going to eat Brody, other than that one scene, did it actually seem like the monsters would not have done anything to people if they just left them the fuck alone? Throughout the movie,
I felt that way for Godzilla. Like, Godzilla would kind of just stay in the water and not give a fuck. But the Mutos, which Muto, if you haven't seen it or haven't heard the terminology, is massive, unidentified terrestrial object. But
right, yes.
Muto, for sure.
But the thing with the Mutos, though, is it seemed like until people started shooting at them, they're just like, hey, man, I'm just trying to go through the city. Like, this shit's in my way.
Basically.
Not, I'm actually going to hurt these people. Like, why would it look down at people and be like, I'm going to eat all of you? But if they're military people shooting them, especially with missiles, it's like, all right, what the fuck? Seriously, what the fuck? What?
Or if you're near the nest.
Yes, of course. Yes, obvious, yes. Because, again, very much like an animal. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but
I feel they're a bit more destructive towards society-wise just because of the fact they're looking for radiation. So,
fair.
No,
which they're eating it up.
Something people, but they're going to be in direct conflict with civilization. Whereas Godzilla, I feel like, hey, I'll chill underwater, guys. I really don't care what you're doing on the surface.
Yeah, right? Except, that whole pollution thing? Don't do that. I'll burn your crops.
No, don't do that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Godzilla.
Pretty much. This is PSA from Godzilla-chan.
Oh, my God. Hey, everybody. Godzilla-chan, Genki desu ka? If you pollute the waters, I will murder you. Aquaman's like, I think I can do this. And then Godzilla swipes him away like he's like a titan swiping away a scout in the sky.
It's just like, Aquaman, we need you to talk to Godzilla. Can you, tell him to chill out? All right, I'll talk to him. All right, so I just got back, and on my way there, I saw all the trash in the water. We had a conversation. Guys, I can't defend you people. Jesus Christ.
That's really
you deserve
funny.
this.
He's riding
Aquaman's
Godzilla.
Just I ain't gonna stop him.
He's riding Godzilla, and he has a tiny but large harness on Godzilla.
Oh my God!
Do your thing, man.
Pretty much.
So
honestly, I love that. Could you imagine if they had a comic where Aquaman and Godzilla just team up to wreak havoc and teach the world a lesson about pollution?
It wouldn't. Okay, so they can't do that. But funnily enough,
I know. No, it wouldn't be a family. It wouldn't be a family fun occasion. It would be horrifying.
No. But the characters could technically meet. This is a Warner Brothers film.
Oh dear God.
And they own DC. So in theory, that's not actually as crazy as you think. But they're not going to fucking.
Happen.
Yeah, but they're not going to fucking
happen.
No, they're not going to wreak havoc. But they could fight, and it would. No, but the Justice League versus Godzilla would be intense.
My God.
Because it would be a situation where Flash is like, I can run so fast I could pop into his eyeballs. And they're like, but it's a living creature. Holy shit. And his Flash is like, I'm kidding. Jesus. But I could. That's the thing. The Justice League could beat up Godzilla, but if they don't want to kill him, that's going to be rough.
Right.
It technically can happen. What I found...
I think we may have gotten off.
Nope, 100% on topic.
Okay.
Yes, correct. So, I do think that we could have had some more monster fighting. Also, I wonder if the movie actually was able to get a discount on the military tech and stuff, because here's what's interesting. So I don't know if you know this, Tristan, but I remember hearing this when it came to the Transformers movies. The reason why many of the Transformers movies had a lot of army presence was, and granted, in this movie it makes a lot of sense. Why would there be a Godzilla movie without a lot of, especially a first one, without a lot of army presence, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing, Tristan. When they portray the U.S. Army in a positive light, they could actually cut deals with the military to be able to get all of the stuff to film with at a significantly cheaper price than if they actually tried to make it themselves or buy shit that's decommissioned to try to actually work. Yes. So that's the reason why, I don't know if you ever saw the first Transformers movie, but people were saying at the time, they're like, why is there so much, like, why are they literally fighting Transformers in Iraq or in the Middle East? And it was like, what the fuck is happening here? Why is the military looking so nice in all of this when we should be focusing on, like, Optimus Prime and Sam Witwicky, the main character? Why are we focusing on a military subplot? They got it cheaper because the military looks really nice fighting, Decepticons on the sidelines.
Right.
So they got access and they got, and they got a discount. So I wonder if this movie managed to do that, because I got to say, the only people that could, quote-unquote, look bad in this is Monarch, and they're not a military organization, arguably. Like, the U.S. government, military, they had fucking Brody. Brody looks like a fucking boss, and even everyone else was like, I'm not too sure if I could do that, but it wasn't like anyone was in direct defiance, anyone wasn't following, orders. Like, everything was on point when it came to military representation. So I'm wondering if there was a little bit of that, happening here too.
Possibly.
Because, that would make sense as to why there's this much granted, again, any Godzilla movie would have at least some military involvement, but it's interesting that they didn't go for the future tech.
It's also not, toy tanks and Jeeps and model cars anymore.
Well, obviously. And that costs money, But no, what I'm trying to get at here, Tristan, is it's not like they were like, oh, this is the super duper defense force. Like, they didn't go there. They were like, nope, military, U.S. military. Yeah. Like, literally,
we have not established the Godzilla Defense Force yet.
Yes, but the thing too is, like, the second, because usually in a movie, when the military comes in and goes, excuse me, we're taking over all of your operations, you immediately go, fuck you guys. In this movie, they were like, of course we will work together, which obviously, I know, Godzilla. But, like, no, but there was no infighting whatsoever. It was just like,
also,
the U.S. military?
I don't think they had a choice at that point.
I know, but...
You are now part of us. Any questions? No. There will be no question.
No, but that's the thing. Usually in a movie like this, there's at least a small amount of resistance, even just for a breath. And it seemed like it was like, the U.S. military? We love the U.S. military. You guys have never done anything wrong. Like, as they're fighting against Godzilla, they're just singing a song, offensive wars are the best kinds of wars. Hooray, 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 yay, yay. Like, it was just sitting there. You're like, God damn. Like, not a peep.
That is why I do like the fact that the commander and Dr. Senazawa have, like, two separate, like, conversations between them. When the commander first says, all right, get these warheads armed, like, we're out of options. He says to him, he even says to Dr. Senazawa, he's like, look, I know you don't agree with this, and I get it. And he's like, and he just hands him the pocket watch. And he's like, okay, it's a nice watch, it stopped. And it stopped on the day, on the day at Hiroshima. And he's like, he's like, please don't do it. And later on, he reaches out to him again, and the doctor says, please don't do this.
Yeah.
He's like,
see, that's good.
Got 3 giant monsters.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is, though? I got to say this much, though, right? For me, I would look at it at like I'm not a I'm a pacifist, but not in this situation. I get it. You have to, put up a fight in some form or another. But unleashing that in my head, I'd be like, they're going to get stronger. They're eating our other missiles. Yeah. They're going to get stronger.
That's why when his assistant speaks up and or I forget who said it, but they're like, they feed on radiation, and you're thinking of throwing more at them. And then the captain speaks up. He's like, "Oh, that was like a firecracker, the one we launched in 1954 compared to this one. We're talking, from megatons to kilotons. It's like
you're
the
making
sheer
it sound
the blast will obliterate them.
You're making it and us. It sounds like
it's like you've never encountered these creatures before. How could you possibly know what will stop them? I mean, I know, like, the commander even says, "Doctor, if you have any better ideas, I'm listening." So
I mean, I gotta be honest. Have you tried like other types of warfare? Like, hear me out, Tristan. In my head, all I can think of is the movie Signs, where it's like, I mean, could we just like pour some water on them, see what happens? Like, fuck. I mean,
oh my God.
No, honestly, like I would think of, I would think of things where it's like, soda can take the rust off a car. Pour Coke on them.
My God.
I would see what
Coca-Cola missiles.
I would. First of all,
I don't think Coke wants to do the idea with this movie anymore. They're not on board anymore.
No, but hear me out, Tristan. Right? Coca-Cola missiles. If they do not work, at the very least, they are refreshing.
My God.
So I would drink Coca-Cola from the sky. Whatever. Fuck it. I'm going to die anyway.
Acid rain. Yeah.
I drink Coca-Cola from the sky. Fuck it. So, I have an odd question for you. And I think this is just based around the fact that I want the dog to live. So, when the water came rushing in, as long as people weren't slammed into like a car or a building, they could have lived, right?
Possibly, but
look, I just want
they're not good.
No, I'm not saying their odds are good. I'm just saying that like I want the dog to live.
The water smacking into you would probably be enough to severely injure you.
Oh, I was wondering, like, could it break your neck on spot?
Debris. Yeah, not even thinking of the debris, just the water at the speed that it's going.
Yeah,
that's gonna hurt a lot.
No, I'm assuming. I'm just curious because like, I'm only curious because like usually I don't really watch disaster movies that often, and when we do, we have situations where it's kind of like a Jurassic Park thing where they go a bit even farther than this, in my opinion. Because you remember Fallen Kingdom, where it's fucking Chris Pratt running away from fucking volcanic. What was it? What was the official name for it?
It's the pyroclastic flow.
Thank you. I knew in my head, I was like, it was a really fun word that I loved.
I'm just
pyroclastic flow.
Gesundheit again.
What?
I'm just glad you didn't say Gesundheit again.
No. Did I say that? No, I said that to you today, but I didn't say that to you during the first time we did it, did I?
No, I thought I said something to you about the movie, and you were like Gesundheit. I'm like,
yes, because you were. Yeah, no, I did say that to you today.
I was explaining Mudos. Yeah.
Mudos. Yeah, you were like Mudos, which means doop 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 doop, and I'm like Gesundheit. But the pyroclastic flow. So when it came to that, you and I were both. Well, not me. I'm a fucking idiot. You were like, that's not how any of this is supposed to work.
No, you can't outrun that. It's too fast.
Can you outrun the water? What I mean is, at first. Obviously, they all got hit, but I mean at first.
By the time, see, that's the thing. If they had ample warning, yes, they could make it out of there in time. However, by the time they noticed it, I don't think they could have made it away. Granted,
no. I don't mean.
Didn't.
I don't mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they make it away, but that one, because I'm talking about that one scene, just the way it played out. Should it have been instantaneous at that speed?
The water?
Yes. I think in the same way that the pyroclastic flow, you're like, look, man, it's not like speed of light, but he can't run away from that. The second that the water came in, it should have been like, yeah, no, you all get hit immediately. Not, oh no, it's dramatic. We're running. Look at the dog running.
Oh yeah, right, exactly. No, that shouldn't be there either.
Okay, that's fair. But I gotta say though, I'm hoping that dog lived.
I do too. I'm not sure. I feel like well, I'll put it this way. You're more likely to survive the water coming in from the tsunami versus pyroclastic flow.
Because just a reminder for everyone, because this was in the trailer for Jurassic World, The Fallen Kingdom as well, so it's not like we're crazy spoiling something, but when Chris Pratt is running away from that flow, even with how close it was to him, you were saying it should have burned him to a cinder.
Oh, he would have burned to death immediately.
He would have caught on fire.
That ash cloud is thousands of degrees.
Ash cloud. Yeah, ash cloud. It sounded like you said ass cloud, which, by the way, fucking hilarious, but not scientifically accurate. Ash cloud.
No.
Okay.
Ash.
Yes. No, just the way the phone cut you off, I was like, it sounds like he said ass cloud, which, again, fucking hilarious, but not scientifically accurate.
Oh, God.
So, speaking of something that was not scientifically accurate, when Brody woke up and there was ash on his face, I was like, oh, fuck, he burned to death. And then he just opens his eyes, and I'm like, no, stop it. I know Godzilla exists, but stop it.
What scene do you mean?
Oh, God. Yeah. Well, no, because it was when he woke up around mostly dead soldiers. Like, yes, with the
after the bridge scene when the Muto takes the missile from the train and then he falls into the water. I'm pretty sure that's all dirt and mud on him, not ash.
Oh, okay. Because it looked like a lot of
in the river.
Okay, because a lot of stuff was on fire around him, so that's why I'm like, I'm like, did he just wake up with like ash on his face? And he's like, I don't have respiratory issues. I'm not even going to go to a hospital.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's funny. Like, that is one point in the movie where I'm like, all right, we're using the magic. He's the main character. We're using the movie magic. That's how he's the only one to have magically survived that incident.
No, at that point, I'm just like, dude, fuck Godzilla. Just go into that monster yourself with a fucking army knife. Apparently, you're good for it.
Yeah, right. Apparently, you have. Well, I mean, it's like you've got the plot armor. You can do it.
Basically. Like, I think the only thing that would have saved him if they were going to swipe at him is he'd go, America! And then the monsters would get really scared.
My God.
And then as he's stabbing them, you just hear, like, no, not Yankee Doodle Dandy. You hear maybe the national anthem. Stuff you'd hear around the 4th of July, usually. He'd make a pun about a barbecue.
God.
Something like that. I gotta say though, but other than his plot armor in that one instance, it did feel like he and his family were consistently in danger. And I honestly, like I said to you, Tristan, I'm gonna say it right here too. I was wondering if the movie had enough courage to kill the kid, because I was sitting there, and I'm like, this is the way the movie had been done thus far up until that point. I'm like, this is the kind of movie that would do it though. Like they would do some terrible. Like, I'm honestly shocked at everyone who did survive. I'm like, wow. It's a happy ending. I'm happy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the kid should die. I'm just saying that, like, I was shocked that not only was the family alive, but also the scientist, who used to work with Bryan Cranston's character. He was still alive. Right. The Japanese scientist who has a kind of a reverence in a way for Godzilla. I mean, obviously in the naming scheme alone. But obviously in the naming scheme alone, it's kind of like, yes, I think you have some reverence to God. But,
I mean, it's also the idea, like, he's been on the team, he's been part of Monarch studying these other two creatures as well. I mean, I'm sure he's talked to people who know about Godzilla. I mean, they had information piled up since, that first incident where he surfaced, it's like, a nuclear submarine. Let me check that out.
And I think it's really cool the way they tied everything in together, because in a way, it's not necessarily saying that Gogeta didn't happen. It's just saying, hey guys, we're just kind of jumping to the present because that movie has already been done.
Well, that's the thing. That's where this movie's canon differs from, say, the original Godzilla. Godzilla is not created by humanity. Godzilla is an ancient creature that is awoken by humanity.
Right, and I think it's definitely a lot more, someone could say it's sanitized, but I think it's just something that, again, that story has already been told.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
To be fair, at least for me, there's a point, this is an American-made movie versus the Japanese make, so...
And we should also note, if there was no newer Godzilla movie in Japan, I could understand maybe some of the ire, hey man, why can't we have it be the metaphoric? I mean, even then, even though he's not a character created, created with the atomic bomb and things like that, and that's not in there, it still is mentioned in the movie, so it's not like that's lost completely, which is nice.
Right,
it's not like that's completely thrown away. But what I am getting at, Tristan, is Shin Godzilla does exist. So,
that's it.
And there's going to be a sequel to it as well, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure there's going to be a sequel to Shin Godzilla. So it's not like, and speaking of Shin Godzilla, Funimation did release it in the U.S. So it's not like you can't get your Godzilla fix from the source, from Toho.
Right.
So,
I need to see that.
Same. That's what I was humming before, the tune that I heard in the trailer. Dun 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 dun. But so when it comes to Godzilla, yes, it is more mythical, and I didn't know that, funnily enough, until I saw the trailer for King of the Monsters. I know you and I talked about that on an older episode of Keikaku Corner before we started going live on our Twitch. And so you and I were talking about it, and I was like, dude, I don't know any of this shit. And you were like, yeah, it seems like they're really going hard with the mystical, these creatures have been around for years. We just fucked up the earth, and here now they've come out, which is kind of funny because, I mean, that's still, in a way, is still very environmentally friendly, conscious talk. It's not specifically about nuclear missiles or nuclear bombs. Yeah, yes, things like that. So that was kind of out of it, but it wasn't necessarily there. The thing that confuses me, though, is these two monsters, they are not in any way, you've heard this from an interview or something, they are not in any way tied to Mothra or Rodan.
No.
You've heard that in an interview or something official.
No, but they are completely different designs, and nothing is mentioned of them having any connection to Mothra or Rodan. So.
Well, but the problem is that unless Mothra and Rodan appear in the second movie,
which they are,
that's all you had to say to me then. Okay. That's all you had to say. They were in the trailer, Matt. I'd be like, oh, right, it's been a while. Thank you. That's all you had to say. No, because if they didn't say that, to me it seems like they would be amalgams of the characters, because if you remember in the original Rodan movie, there were two Rodans that were a couple, and one of them was just like yes, and also they both could fly, but definitely there was some weird there was a weird mixture with this, because looking at these two monster designs, it felt like this weird mix between Rodan, Mothra, and a little bit of Godzilla thrown in. It was odd.
Yeah, they are insectoid
Yeah. Yes, more like praying mantises, but it was there was still something there that I was like, Mothra? Rodan? Beaky like Godzilla?
Have in the past of their designs, and they wanted to make them extremely alien looking, in the sense of not alien as in outer space, but alien as anything compared to human, basically.
Yes, to be fair, to be fair to my own joke that I said to you off podcast, it really does kind of come, if you're taking it out of the Godzilla arena, they really do remind me of the Cloverfield monsters, like in the first one.
Right, yeah. Which is funny.
Yeah. Why?
I mean, no, because that's the thing. Like, they don't really explain too much about Mutos or like the idea that other ancient creatures existed along Godzilla that inhabited the Earth before humanity.
But I assume that's going to be explained in the second movie, which I think. Yes. Looking at the trailer, there's definitely going to be more.
Yes. But I mean the idea that there are other, like, not like the big name monsters that we know of.
I mean, but dude, we haven't seen the movie yet, so it might go into that. Yeah.
Yes, but I'm trying not to say too much because I know you haven't seen it yet. I mean, and they go into a bit more on that topic in Kong Skull Island because technically these movies are connected.
Okay, well then that's all you have to say. Just say that. But so what's interesting then, just speaking of that too, is I can't wait to see that movie with you because we're definitely gonna take a look at that as well alongside this one. In the context of this giant, I think they called it the Monsterverse because it's this movie, then it's Skull Island, then it is King of the Monsters, and then it's Godzilla versus Kong.
Right.
So that's going to be very interesting stuff. But back to this movie though in particular, I have to say the way they I mentioned much earlier the idea that the bridge scene was terrifying to me. Also when they were on the bullet train and the lights turned off and once
Hawaii in the airport.
Yes, and once everything turned back on, they were going right towards the fucking Muto. Right.
Yeah. No, that was one of the scenes that like scared me the most. Was when they first find the Muto in the trees, and they find the submarine, and then the lights go up, and there it is in the trees. But yeah, definitely when the power goes out in the airport in the Hawaii, and then everything comes back on, and you just see the two of them. You see the Muto, and then you see Godzilla appear as well. Yeah. Also, Godzilla's roar. My God.
Beautiful.
I love it.
I think one moment that really resonated with me, I don't know, it just really connected somehow, and that was the whole point of the scene, I know, but it still worked very well, was when we see Brody in such pain, like he's just searching for his wife and kid, and he looks and he sees Godzilla in a moment of weakness, and Godzilla sees him, and they just look at each other, and it's just this idea of like, hey man, like we're not so different, or like we're not here to hurt each other, like we're just trying to live, man.
Right. It's two beings trying to exist. Yeah.
And then Godzilla just disappears into the smoke, and it just, God, that was done so well.
I'm gonna take a little nap. Tag, you're in. Oh.
I liked Godzilla's CG throughout the film. I think during the daytime, though, at the end of the movie, during like that big, wrap up where he's just going into the water, or you're supposed to see like Owadi, the end on the screen.
Yeah.
Like at that moment, I wasn't the biggest fan. I think because it was daytime. Like I don't know, something didn't mesh right to me. But throughout the film itself, when it wasn't so shiny, when it was a bit more dark and dreary, especially at night, Godzilla just felt like he was just supposed to be there. Like it felt normal. Right. Like there was nothing odd about it to me. Even the other two Mutos, like they just felt normal because again, like it was mostly dreary, dark dreary, or nighttime, so the CG fits in really well. But at the end of the movie, we're supposed to be this big like hooray, like the sun is shining, everyone's alive, and Godzilla's like, and now I make my exit. One newscaster said, I think you're a hero. Ha. Like you, Jill. Now it's my time to leave. And like he's just leaving.
God. Yeah, I was gonna say, did you see that on the screen? Like I love that. It's like, King of the Monsters, here, savior of our city? Question
mark? Yeah.
I was like, well, yes, but
the second movie comes out. King of Dicks, piece of shit.
My God.
Why is he doing this to our city?
asshole! Oh God, that hurts! Stop it! Hey, look, I'm just doing my deal. It's not my fault that you fucked things up again. I mean, that's how I always feel about Godzilla, even in, older films. It's always like, all right, hey, look, this is my turf. This is my home. You people, keep building on top of it. I'm not, I can't really freaking stop you. But like when the big bad monsters come in and try and take over, I'm gonna step up and be like, hey, this is my place to stomp around on, not yours. Get lost.
I think I know what's gonna happen in the second movie. I think I'm gonna lay the plot out right now for you guys. So King Ghidorah is going to be Ghidorahing all over the fucking place, and so the not even the United States, the entire world, they're gonna get like NATO, UN, they're gonna come together and they're going to get a giant fucking helicopter and they're going to hire Godzilla, King Kong, and Mothra as mercenaries to try to capture Ghidorah.
My God.
They're gonna put him in the same safari outfits that everyone was in on Skull Island. And they're just going to be on a giant helicopter flying to King Ghidorah.
Playing old 70s rock tracks.
Thank you. He gets me, everyone. Thank you. And King Kong's going to be like, look, man, this is just a job, all right?
I ain't in this to be friends. This is just a job.
It's just a fucking job. Then...
Mothra's
and then
we all just get along.
Oh God! But no, it's gonna be it's funny. I've only seen the trailer once for King Kong Skull Island because I saw it, I thought this was cool, and it looked very interesting, but I didn't want to actually see it because I knew it was gonna tie into Godzilla. So,
okay. I mean, Kong Skull Island is still a good movie on its own too.
Yeah, I know. But I didn't see it at the time, so now I can't wait to see it. But either way, I just imagine them all as mercenaries. That would just all of the monsters. That just fucking kills me internally. I don't know why that makes me laugh so hard. All of them in the actual outfits on a giant fucking helicopter.
The A-Team, or I guess it would be the G-Team.
Oh my God, the A-Team. Just with all that sounds great. The world's just like, Godzilla, we need you to fight these aliens. All
right. Picks up the phone. Hey, Mothra, you there? Can you gather everyone up? Why am I always the one to do it? Because when I call, no one actually answers.
That sounds about right. Well, maybe you shouldn't be throwing fire down their fucking throats.
Yeah, well, when a job's got to be done, I'm the one who does it right. So you know what?
By the way, that scene, you want to know, I actually screamed. In sheer excitement, because I thought that Godzilla was going to do the King Kong thing and break his fucking jaw.
I mean, he kind of did.
He pried it open. I mean, yes. Well, no, he didn't break it. He had disintegrated it. So I thought he was going...
Like, I didn't think it would go until, like, the head rips away and the neck disintegrates. Like, wow.
I don't know why. I don't know why, man. Yeah, like I thought he was gonna be like crack it open and be like, yeah, I'm Godzilla, raw. And it's like,
Godzilla
no,
is 1,000% done with your shit.
Yes. That
and
God.
When he takes out the male Muto, the flying one, he just like his face. There's that one it takes off and starts to fly around, and Godzilla's like, "Oh, I'm gonna send you home packing," and just like winds up his tail like a bat. And it's like, strike, and just whacks him straight into the skyscraper.
Yes. Yes, it was.
Of course, he turns around and the building starts to fall on him, and he's like, "I did not think this through."
I mean, yes, he does not understand physics. He is Godzilla.
But still, that kills him.
Oh, yes. One of something else that I found very interesting with the movie is how early on they killed Bryan Cranston's character off, and it's something that I think so it's something that was good simply because it was A, not expected, B, because I don't know if you know this. Well, I know you know that he did this, Tristan, but I don't know if you know how much of a phenomenon it was. But Bryan Cranston in Breaking Bad is so big that in a way it kind of eclipses his role as the dad in Malcolm in the Middle, which to me as a kid was my my go-to for him. Like I was like, oh yes, the dad from Malcolm in the Middle. And then when he did Breaking Bad for I'm pretty sure 5 years, for 5 seasons, everyone started to know him from that, and he blew up even more than he already was as an actor. Always a great actor. He was also the voice of many different monsters in Power Rangers back in the day, which is why it was great that he came back to be Zordon in the 2017 movie. Because that's how he got his start as an actor, as he was the voice of like these random monsters of the week.
Right.
So anyway, where he would have to shout puns and shit. So fun. Anyway, so he was in Godzilla, and I think everyone, including me, when I heard that he was in it, I'm like, oh, is he the main character, or is he like? And then I know that he's the dad, or someone said he was the dad, and I was like, oh, so that's great. And then I heard online like, no, he dies pretty early on in the film, and I thought, what? Let me see what happens. And I thought he was going to die in the first, 10 minutes with his wife.
No, yeah.
That's why
that too.
That's why I texted you. I was like, because they did a lot of that in this movie, where they were like, oh, if you don't see them leave, then they might be dead, and then you see them back later, like they didn't die. And I'm like, that should be considered like a huge shock, but it seems like everyone's acting like it's normal.
Yeah.
Because they didn't show Cranston evacuating, nor did they show, the Brody's wife after the building fell. So I'm like, so they're both dead. And then we find out, nah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I think that it was a shock to have. Yeah.
The beginning of that movie was. Hi, Patchy. Okay. Sorry. The
Patchy
beginning
is
of
your
that
cat.
movie.
Patchy is your kaiju.
Yes, basically. Was super rough.
Yeah.
Him having, the whole plant going down because of Amudo, and then just the performance that Cranston brings as that character is amazing. Like his whole idea of no, I'm not letting this go. This wasn't just a natural, this was not just a natural disaster. I'm not an idiot. Stop lying to me. I'm going to find out the truth because I had to watch my wife die in front of me, and I'm going to find answers. And nothing on this planet is going to stop me.
And it's interesting because, if they had just brought him on to work with them, maybe he wouldn't have been that huge thorn in their side.
True. Yeah.
One thing I want to say, though, about Cranston's performance, and really everyone in the film, I have to say, they did something, I think, it's not, okay, so when I look at a Godzilla movie, and I'm not talking about the dubs, like the English dubs of the Japanese films, I'm just talking about a general Godzilla movie in Japanese, I feel like at first they had performances like this, sometimes a bit exaggerated, but a bit like this. And then as the films went on, because Godzilla becomes so understood, everyone's like, all right, look, he's a terror, but, we know him. You end up getting a situation where it's like, we're just 3 kids and 1 dude on a boat going to an island, and oh no, Godzilla! And a giant crab. We still have to do that movie. But the point is what I'm getting at is that when you have a situation where Godzilla just becomes so normalized in front of everything, it kind of, it's not that it takes away, in a way it even takes away from the actors' performances because they're just doing their own thing and Godzilla's just generally there. Instead of them being in awe, if not of him, still of the things that are going on around them. So having something like that, having this movie going that far, not shying away from shit like this happening, and also having these characters just being in awe of Godzilla in this way, it brings something that I think was lost at some point during the Japanese Godzilla films, and something that I don't think was really captured in the 1996 version or 97 version, Zilla, because with that one, from what I remember, and again I might be wrong here, but from what I remember, it just like in some of the other Japanese movies, the later ones, it turned, and before like the reboot, because I know there was an 80s reboot, sort of like a soft hard reboot, but even before that, there was this idea of, hey, we're doing our shit, and also Godzilla is here. And I think that was something that happened in the 1997 version, where it was like, I love you too. Okay, but like he's right over there. Like you really gotta, shit's happening.
Okay, but
right
like
now.
he's right over there.
Yeah. Where in this case, in this case, it was actually another smart thing too that they did. Even though it did seem like a little bit of zigzagging, it was great to separate the family the way that they did, because you don't want them to be hugging so hard that it's like, no, but the monster's right over there. Like you really got to get away. Like you need to have them separate and on the move, or in constant like panic, because they need to be on the move. Like, so the kid needs to be on the bus, not just to set up that scene. It's not a coincidence. It's more so like, if you keep the two of them together, then what can you do?
Right. And the fact that Brody doesn't make it that morning because the train gets derailed, and then she's stuck in the city and then is stuck in an underground shelter as well. Yeah.
Yes, like you need to do something to split them up, because if you get them all together, even if you say that it doesn't immediately solve the conflicts, because it doesn't, obviously Godzilla still exists, as does the Mutos, but if you get them together, much quicker, it still makes a situation where they're going to be clinging to each other so much that it's like you're going to be like, okay guys, but like over there, look at that over there. You have to get away from that. Run.
Okay.
And that's something that I think was lost, again, really in certain movies where even when they brought in aliens and that was fun, it still feels as if, and I know it's been a while, Tristan, but when you think back to some of the human drama in some of the later 60s, 60s Godzilla movies that we've done, doesn't it feel like the humans are just kind of like, oh, fuck, Godzilla's over there? How nuts is that, right?
Yeah.
Instead of
everyone kind of feels too animated in a way, and like still afraid of the situation, but also not as serious as they should be.
Yeah, because the first Godzilla movie and even the second one, Raids Again, they both had this very I'm not saying it was serious completely, because, yes, there was some stuff in the first one that I was a little confused about, especially with the English dub, although that was more of an adaptation even than a dub, because they had a lot more American scenes in the first one, which was called Godzilla King of the Monsters in the U.S. But what I'm trying to get at, though, is it felt as if people were actually terrified that this thing exists in the first two movies. And I'm not saying the third one immediately changed it, but I'm saying as the series went on, because you and I were, I think the last one we need to talk about versus the sea creature or sea thing or something like that. No, Ebida, Creature of the Deep. That's 66.
Godzilla versus the sea monster is the English. But
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when looking at that movie, that's 66. So at that point, I feel like they've just been fucking hurricane season, then Godzilla season, it's that time of year again.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. We got to prepare for that Godzilla season. So in this case, I hope that with, assuming that it's going to be 3 movies of Godzilla only, although, King of the Monsters, you could argue it's not Godzilla only, but still, 3 movies with Godzilla in the title, I hope that they keep that same level of intense fear, and that after the second one and after Godzilla versus Kong, it isn't don't worry, guys. I mean, look, if you have a defense force, that's different. That's cool. But when you have people who are just journalists and other civilians, who they did have scenes of civilians running, of course, but there were still certain moments where the main cast of usually 3 to 4 are oh no, these mobsters, and I'm all right, that's pretty shitty, fuck these mobsters and shit. and I think I did enjoy it, kind of, some of the human drama in that regard, because it was a little over the top in a good way. In that, I think it was Godzilla versus Mothra, the one I'm thinking of.
Right,
but
right.
Still though, it's kind of like, but Godzilla also does exist, though. Like, we should not have the scenes feel like they are divorced from each other. And I will say this movie at least did not make any of these scenes feel divorced from one another. So in other words, even though I am sitting here like, hey, can we stop cutting to anyone else when we're having the big monster fight, at least it is a reaction and not like,
right.
I'm on the other side of the city doing nothing.
Yeah.
No, it's like, no, everything that a monster does is going to impact someone on the ground level.
Right.
And then they cut to it, and then you're like, oh, God.
Like those shots, like on the Golden Gate Bridge with the bus, you're still seeing Godzilla being hit by the military. And then even when Brody is helping move the warhead out of Chinatown, like, Godzilla is still feuding with the female Muto in the background as they're getting out.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was another piece of that scene that I wanted to mention earlier, when they're getting the warhead out of the nest, and they're just booking it, because obviously, like, the thing's on a timer, they need to get it the hell out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Brody actually he stops for a second and looks back at the eggs again. And he's like, it felt to me like he had kind of inherited his father's mission in a way. Like, he knows the truth now, and now he feels a sense of, I need to protect my home, and I need to do what needs to be done. Not only do we need to get this warhead out of here, but I need to blow up this nest. Because if these things hatch, we are all fucked.
Yeah.
And that's why he stops and like, no, I have to do this. Even though it's not like, oh, we gave you this mission to do this, he's like, no, like, I need to do this for my own sake as well as for everybody else's sake. And that's why he goes back in and sets it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was a good piece to, at least that's what I got out of it, and I thought it was a good piece to have back in there.
It is interesting because it's a hard thing to juggle, because he needs to do that to destroy them, because yes, they're going to be like the Mutos, but man, he also has kids.
Oh yeah. Like, that's the other thing that I love too, that the Muto, even though it was like insectoid and kind of alien in nature, it's still, when its nest is destroyed, you can hear it in its cries how distressed it is over that.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, and you can argue, maternal instinct or however you want to think of that in other animals, but, like, you can't deny the fact that that animal is feeling something.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I have to say, there's certain points of the movie, and I think there's a reason why sometimes you hear these stories of like how Japanese fans are like, I don't know about this American adaptation. And it's based on certain things, like this idea that, and maybe I haven't, because I know I haven't seen a lot of Godzilla movies compared to you, Tristan, but you talk about Godzilla, like, the way that they do in Japan, being a force of nature, something that you kind of have to live with, and arguably you could say the other monsters are somewhat similar in the idea that, like,
right.
Hey man, they're doing their thing. Like, other than someone like King Ghidorah, who's like, oh no, you're evil, fuck you and your space shit.
Yeah.
Someone, Rodan is like, hey, I'm trying to live in a volcano, and then it erupts, and then you guys are dicks.
Right. It's not my fault that the speed that I fly at, causes supersonic booms over your cities. I mean, sorry.
Maybe.
Hey, neighbor, how's it going? Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. Send me the bill. I'll pay for the damages. Oh God.
Maybe get good, scrubs.
Honey, how was
and
your
then,
day? Well,
yeah.
I mean, I may have pissed off the neighbors. Why? What happened? Well,
Godzilla's roar in the background.
Shit.
No, and Mothra is just like,
not to see him again. Look, I know we're just old college buddies. All right, just give me a minute.
And Mothra is just like, hey, I'm just trying to live on an island, and then you guys were here, and I'm like, come on, guys, really? A phone call from a friend? Can you believe this shit? I know Kong. These dicks. Like like I feel like
I love our
what?
MonsterVerse.
Our MonsterVerse is great. So no, but it does feel as if the monsters, usually on the Japanese side of things, are like, I'm just trying to live my best life.
Right. It just happens that conflict still comes out of it, of course.
Exactly. In this film, it feels like there's this, like, I could, in my heart, I'm like, oh, is it a kind of accident? Like, hey, we're just going through your cities. And then you said this, but I don't think you said this in this context. You were like, this is an American action movie. And I don't know why in the context you said it in, but you can tell me after I say what I took from that thought. Is the idea that it's like, we must destroy these monsters versus like, and look, I'm not saying it has to be like the Pokemon movie, the first one, where it's like, brother, my brother. Like, we don't have to go that far here, right? I get it.
And it's not to say that, in a lot of the Japanese, or at least the beginnings of the Japanese movies, they're also like, we need to stop this monster.
Of course. It's just the idea that it's kind of interesting that Brody's like, I got kids, which means that I have to protect mine. Explodey, Merca. Now, yes, they would have been fucked if they had been hatched. I'm not saying that they wouldn't have been. But it is something that I do wonder if, I don't know, like if, not even talking about Japanese fans, but like how Japan would have done something like that. Like if he would have actually had a second thought, like, not a second thought of, I must do it, but more like, man, but would I want my kids to be blown up? Literally, that's what I'm fighting against right now.
Right.
So it's interesting how they took away that internal conflict and were like, America, fuck yeah. Now, why did you, speaking of that, why did you think of that?
I mean, I guess at the beginning, it's more of the idea that there is such a military presence in this movie. Granted, like you said, it's Godzilla rampaging through San Francisco and Hawaii and across the world. Yes, of course, the military is going to get involved.
Could you imagine if they were just like, actually, we're so pissed scared that we've dissolved all military and governments. We're anarchy now. Who gives a fuck?
But the idea that like Brody's character himself is part of the military, and throughout the movie he basically gets kind of sucked into the operation that's going on, albeit him just trying to get home, and then later on is him like, you know what, I'm joining this up.
Yes.
And the idea that they're granted, the commander had said to the assistant, if you have any better ideas, I'm all ears. But the fact that they do openly talk about nukes right off the bat.
Yeah.
Granted, I mean, what else are you supposed to do in the face of something that massive? I get it. But
well, no, what else would it...
It's literally the West Coast. Like, he describes it in terms of there are millions of lives at stake. I'm going to try the option that takes the least amount of those lives, but we still have to stop these monsters from destroying the world, which is what they have the capacity to do. Granted, there's also that idea. They have the capacity to do so, but will they? But they're not willing to take that risk. They're not willing to sit back and watch them any longer than they already have.
When you say the phrase, what else can they do? If I had fuck you money, I would hire Matthew Broderick, who, if you remember, was the star of the Godzilla movie.
Yes, I remember.
And as New York is being destroyed around him, I would have him push a pager button that has the 1997 Godzilla logo on it before he gets crushed by a building.
My God.
Do you understand, Tristan? I would film that parody scene if we had fuck you money. I would just do it. Because it's just so stupid and I love it. Because the idea, well, what else can they do? It's like, it's been 20 years. Let's summon.
But of course, That's why
summon
Serizawa says, please, like, let Godzilla, like, let him fight them. It's like nature, like, that's why I love his line, too. The arrogance of man is that, you know, we think we control this planet and everything on it. These creatures are showing powers and abilities, and just the fact that they exist is, you know, spitting in our face of like, you barely understand your own planet. Please sit down.
The almost exact quote was, the arrogance of man is that man thinks they control nature when it is the other way around.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I was like,
that line is beautiful.
Yeah.
That may be the most beautiful line out of that entire movie. And I love that it's in there.
Well,
like, that's why I also feel like this movie, while being American-made, still pays its dues to the source material of, you know, Godzilla being originally Japanese and everything.
Yes. Though I do have to say, the part of the movie, the one line, and this is not a joke, I'm being serious, that I think is the best line in the entire fucking movie. I swear to God, I do believe this. Mommy, dinosaur.
Yeah.
No, because I love her.
Just like, oh shit.
No, because she's like, sweetie, you fell asleep on the couch. Can you turn off the TV? Mommy, dinosaur. Okay, turn off the cart.
Live on the news. Hawaii under attack by dinosaur.
Like, oh my God.
At that point, she's looking at it like, oh God, my husband is in that airport.
No, but I just lost my shit because I can only imagine you, Tristan, as a 4-year-old going, Mommy, dinosaur.
Yeah. Yeah, it me. Not gonna lie.
Oh my God, it's just so funny because I'm just looking at that. I'm like, that's not only Tristan, but like, yeah, the little kid's just like, it's of course what dinosaur on TV. Okay, sweetheart, we're going to. Do you remember when Mommy told you to stop shitting your pants? Yeah, now's the time to start again, sweetheart. Like,
Jesus,
you want to know, if you think that can, you want me to ruin the movie for you? I can ruin this entire movie. I feel like the Doctor with six words. Just I feel like I'm the Doctor. It's just something that's extremely creepy that I didn't know until I looked up the actors, and it's absolutely creepy. At least to me, anyway.
Okay.
Well, okay, so here's a cool thing. So this is a cool thing. Cool thing. The main character, he plays Brody. He was actually in the movie Kick-Ass. He played the main character in both movies.
Right.
Cool thing.
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yes. Other cool thing. His wife.
That's his first name.
Yeah. Other cool thing. His wife in the movie is played by Elizabeth Olsen.
Right.
Who plays Scarlet Witch.
Right. Yes.
So, 2 cool things. Where does this get weird? He also played Quicksilver.
Oh.
They are both brother and sister.
Well.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks. That's great.
Good night, everybody. I'm going to stick my head in a pool of water. Goodbye.
Oh, my God. You're not ending it on that. How dare you?
I'm going to be like Godzilla, except that instead of going down into the water, I'm just going to drown in my bathtub. So,
because I'll be holding you.
Thank you. I needed that push. It's just terrifying. No, but all jokes aside, and by the way, like, don't think, for anyone who thinks, like, how dare you, I have mental illness. Don't be like, because I know some people would be like, that's terrible. And it's like, but don't think it's coming from someone who doesn't suffer from depression and shit, so it's okay. But either way. No, because I understand someone didn't know that about me. They haven't been listening for a while, and they're like, that's just a horrifying joke. It's like, no, don't think I'm making fun of people who have suicidal tendencies.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You're right.
But getting back to the topic at hand, it was just so fucking weird because, like, I didn't know that he played Quicksilver. So, like, I'm like, oh my god, Elizabeth Olsen, yeah, she was Scarlet Witch, and then, oh my god, he was Kick-Ass, and he was Quicksilver?
You've been holding on to that all night, haven't you?
No, it was just terrible because I discovered that halfway through the movie. So they kiss at the end, and I'm like, no, stop it, that's your sister. Because I saw Age of Ultron first. So because I just saw this now. So I'm just like, no, stop it. It was just weird, man. Just weird. I know, I know they're not actually related, but and also, to be fair, Quicksilver isn't really in the MCU right now, but just weird.
Right.
Although it's kind of funny that they got to work together again, or that they worked together around the same time on two different, because this was filmed, even though this came out in 2014, this had to have been filmed in like 2012, 2013. Yeah. And when it came to Avengers Age of Ultron, that came out in 2015, so it must have been filmed like 2013, 2014. So how funny is it? They're just like, hey, working together again, different company too. What? Like, it's still kind of like because one is Warner Brothers, the other one is Marvel / Disney. How funny is that, right? Acting. Yeah. But still, yeah. So, and I have to say though, another thing that was nice too was that, like, there was no, because I know you're not a big fan of relationship troubles in films and, all that drama. No drama like that. Like, it's just, again, like, it's something that people can resonate with. Like, he's just a man looking for his family. She's just a woman looking for her family. And the kid's just like, dinosaur. Good for you, kid.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
no,
but, like,
there's no other, like, weird romantic drama going on while the apocalypse is basically unfolding around you.
Yeah, it's just, I'm really happy that the writers understood that, hey, you know what's more important? The apocalypse.
Right, exactly.
It's like, that's the most important thing. It's not about, like, oh, no, like, when he was in the military, what if she was doing something with what if that's not even his kid? It's like, no, just don't worry about any of that. The apocalypse,
well, that's what I was
right
worried
now.
about with one of those first lines where after he has the flashback and he's getting off the plane, he's like, oh, so what are you doing when you get back? He's like, well, hopefully I have a family waiting for me. I'm like, oh, please don't. And then he gets home and it's like, oh, thank God.
Well, no, I thought they would have been dead via Godzilla shenanigans.
Yeah. Oh.
But that's a great point too. Like, again, just no drama, no nothing. It's just like, hey man, like they're just doing what they can.
Right.
To live
and the idea
through all
that,
of this.
When even the drama between him and his father, obviously his father can't let go of his wife's death, and like he's trying to say, Dad, mom's gone. Like, just come. Like, they've broken off ties with each other, basically, but his wife is telling him, like, your father's a good man. He needs your help. Like, he even tries. He says, Dad, let's just go home. Like, come home with me. You have a grandson who misses you. Like, we can be a family again. Let's just leave it. And he's like,
all right, son, I'll do that, but let's just do a little deal. A small deal, nothing big. I do that for you.
That I'm not insane.
No, not that. I'll go back to San Francisco with you if you go into an area filled with radiation. Pretty easy, sane deal.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. There is no radiation.
But he discovered that after he took the helmet off. Like, it's just one of those things where they came in with full suits, because the idea was it's full of radiation. And yes, it was kind of like, but Matt, the dogs are running. How could it be irradiated? And I'm like, they've lived in the area. You don't know when
I mean, there can still be trace amounts that animals would still live in there, but still not that good for you.
Because, I only laugh internally because it's like, come on, the animals grew up there. They could be fine. They've adapted. Heck, when they sneeze, they might have 3 heads. You don't know.
Oh, God.
They're fine now, but when they sneeze...
Not really how that works usually, but...
I know. Well,
usually
okay.
you get terrible cancer, but...
Godzilla is also not how this works, but you know what? Here we are.
That's fair!
So, I'm just saying, Tristan, all right, in the real world, the dog would have sad doggy cancer. In this movie, it becomes a monster from Last of Us. That's all I'm saying.
It would have 3 heads. Oh, my God.
Yes, becomes a monster from Last of Us. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, God.
It's not good.
That's fair.
Yeah. So, but no, the dogs were running, which I guess was supposed to be the trigger in our heads to be like, wait a minute. Radiation, it sounds like a cover-up, which I would argue
it
that's not
is the perfect cover-up.
Yes,
in a way.
which I have to say, in that way, I guess you could say it's not pro-government because it's like they had a cover-up, like, but at the same time, like, again, every other part of the movie felt very much like, no, like, we love the government. They're our friends. The big bad guy is the monster. No, what I'm trying to get at here is that one little part of the movie where it's like, it's a giant cover-up and a conspiracy, like, that was the one part you could argue is, like, anti-government, but then the one guy who's anti-government and who was correct dies. That's a half joke, but I mean, Bryan Cranston's character is very much like, damn the government, damn the establishment, and now I've died of unrelated injuries. Speaking of, by the way, so we mentioned earlier, he died. That was sad, obviously. It kind of came quick, again, for someone with Cranston's stature. You would think that he would, last until the end of the movie. But my question to you is, does it feel like when he died, not that people forgot about him? Because, again, like, it's sad. Brody can't really dwell on it because he has other shit to do. He has a family to save. I get that.
Right.
But it feels as if everyone, like, when he was originally found, and then they found the data, it seemed as if, I can't remember the Japanese scientist's name, the head of Monarch, or at least the head of that project.
Serizawa.
It seemed like he was going to be extremely interested in potentially even bringing him on, or at least taking his data and using it. And it feels as if he was, but it seemed like all of that was done with. Like, they didn't even care about Brody necessarily. They sort of did, but not really. Oh, Brody referring to his kid, of course. Brody, when this all, like, after that, like, I know, like, a lot of shit's going on. Again, it's the fucking end of the world as they know it. Like, so they got shit to do.
At that point, they're like, well, we still have his son. Maybe he remembers some stuff, which, thankfully enough, he remembered enough for Serizawa to be like, that actually makes sense. Holy shit, look that up right now.
Okay, that's fair. I'm just saying that, like, it seemed as if, I don't know, like, maybe not in Skull Island, because, of course, that one's technically a prequel, arguably, but when looking at the second Godzilla movie that's coming out, maybe his research will mean a lot more in that film?
Somehow I don't think so, but possibly.
Yeah, I'm only saying it because it seems like, not that was dropped, because, again, you could argue that did help the movie along with his kid and everything, but there still is a lot of data on those floppy drives, floppy disks, but still. No, I'm saying, like,
it was the
time
at that point in the movie.
It didn't hit me, though, that it was that early. Like, it didn't hit me.
Right.
No, because I knew that originally, like, those old clips in the beginning, it's like, oh, this is the 50s, I get it, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't hit me that, that when we were watching him as an adult coming out of the military, that was modern day 2014, and he's clearly, like, in his 20s or 30s. And so, 20 years prior, that's the 90s. Of course, there were floppy disks, I have some still in my house. So, like, I get it. It's just funny to me because I'm like, kids think that's the save icon. No, literally. Kids were like, they made a physical version of the save icon, and then I grew older on the spot.
I know. So did I, and every time I hear you say it, I feel it in my bones.
Oh, my God. Yeah, so it just didn't hit me until I saw the floppies. I was like, oh, wow, right, okay, so this is all in chronological, like, because, some movies, they're like, oh, undisclosed year in the future.
Right.
It's close enough that all the technology is pretty much exactly the same, but something's a little bit holographic, so we know it's a few years down the line.
My God.
No, it's usually how movies do the future. It's like, well, we have this shit that we don't have right now, but this isn't 100 years in the future because things would look vastly different. It's only like 15 at most.
Yeah.
But mentioned it much earlier about Matthew Broderick in New York. Man, did they stay far the fuck away from New York. They were like, you know what we don't want anyone to think about? That movie. We want nobody to think about that movie. So they, God, dude, like they were literally nowhere near New York. How funny is that? Like to me, I don't know. To me, I find it funny. Now you could say it's easier because it's like, oh, Japan to Hawaii to San Francisco, but it just feels like they were like, we're not touching New York with a Godzilla-sized foot pole.
I mean, that's fair. I feel like it does, like story-wise, it does link itself together better that it's Pacific.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it definitely, there is a sense of, not touching New York with, like you said, a Godzilla-sized football.
Let's not go near any of that nonsense. We don't want anyone to confuse this with that version at all.
Right. Exactly.
And they did a good job because, man, even though I'm comparing it, it did not necessarily make me think of it like, oh, God, it's just like that one. Like, nope.
Nope.
Definitely not. Oh, do you think some of the camera angles were inspired by Cloverfield? And I know that sounds funny because, of course, Cloverfield being inspired by Godzilla, but the what's it called? The found footage type camera angles. Do you think that kind of inspired, not that any of this movie was found footage, because it wasn't. It was all clearly with, professional cameras, no, handheld, anything like that. But what I'm getting at is that when you see some of the shots and how, they do like this interesting like first-person effect for some of it to show you this sheer scale, to me it seems like it was inspired by Cloverfield, which is so funny how it's become cyclical in that way.
Right.
Do you see where I'm coming from? Or? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like that?
I do. There were some shots. I'm trying to think. There was one shot, because it's funny. There's a shot in the movie, and then there's a shot, I believe, that is in the trailer, but wasn't actually in the film itself.
Oh.
Where it's Godzilla roaring, and it's like the full roar as like these doors, like it would look like a shelter, like the doors closing. But I know there was one that was basically when Ellie, the wife, she's getting into the underground shelter, and you see Godzilla and one of the Mutos fighting in the background as like the doors close or like a building falls or that kind of thing.
I found the most terrifying part of the movie for me. I thought I knew what the most terrifying part was, and now that we're talking about this, we have the movie playing in the background, and I found the most terrifying part. It's when the planes are falling out of the sky.
Yeah. That was pretty terrifying.
I gotta be real with you, man. I know that I shouldn't feel this way, but I feel like if I see a monster, I'm like, if it doesn't want to eat me personally, I might be able to get away.
Right.
But a plane falling out of the sky, you can't do shit about a plane falling out of the sky. And with all those, after the EMP blast, and also what was really funny, I don't know if you got this vibe, but when Ellie sees a guy in the distance on parachute, I thought they were going full action movie. And they were actually going to have it be her husband. And I was like, are you really? Because he was in a plane. Right. I was like, are you really going to do this? Did he really just jump out of the plane because of the... And then it fucking crashes into a building behind her, and I'm like, oh my God!
Right.
And then all the planes just start...
Just start falling out of the sky. That was actually a poster. Like, one of the posters was just showing planes falling out of the sky.
Wow.
And, that's a horrifying image. It really is.
I mean, you know what it is too. I don't want to make things, dark. I mean, we make jokes a lot, but I don't want to make it unnecessarily dark. But I just have to be real here. I have to be real. You and I are both New Yorkers, and we were around during 9/11.
Right. We were
and
kids
so
during that time.
we were, and so I think in a way that's also another good reason why no planes were fucking hitting buildings in New York. Like, get that shit out of here. So, but that image to me is just one that really stands out. And people nowadays these young little shits meme it online, and it's like, guys, like, just you want to be edgelords, all right, but like understand that like that shit actually happened. Like fucking. Like you and I, Tristan, were there. We weren't there on the spot, but like we were taken out of school for that, and we watched the news, and like it's just like that's an image that just stays with you, So seeing that hit the building, it wasn't my immediate thought, but now as we're talking about it, like I think that might be why it resonate, like it hits you.
Yeah, the way it resonates, the way it does.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah,
that's probably a part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was. I mean, it's a power for the Mudos. Like that's a really cool thing that they put in. The fact that they have EMP pulses that stops all of the technology that we have at our disposal. Basically, our only defense against them.
Which am I wrong, or didn't in one of the 3 Cloverfield movies didn't one of the monsters have that ability?
You might be thinking of Pacific Rim.
All right, I would like to change my answer to Pacific Rim.
Because one of the monsters did have an EMP blast, and that's why they relied on. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. No, you are correct. Yes. I am thinking of, which of course another movie that, in a way, it's just kind of funny. Like I don't know, it just feels as if, even though obviously this is based off of Godzilla, no shit, Godzilla came first, but because of how far this is along compared to Pacific Rim, when Pacific Rim came out, what? Oh God, what year?
2010. I think it was 2010.
Yeah, I think the first one was 2010, and then Cloverfield was 2008.
Right.
And those really, it did, even though there were some issues there, of course, we've reviewed them before, but they did a lot for modern kaiju in the U.S. U.S. They did a lot for it, in my opinion. And I'm not going to say that they rejuvenated it necessarily. Like, Godzilla was always there, and I think will always be there in some way or another.
Yeah.
But I do have to say, though, that it's definitely interesting looking at some of the stuff that's going on in this movie with not just CG, but, camera angles and things like that, and just seeing how it looks like stuff that you would, on the American side of things anyway, you would see in, in one of those 2 films. Now, the Japanese side of things, a lot more like, if you're thinking of the CGI, a lot more like Ultraman in the 2000s, I think, some of it. The reason why it's hard for me to say Godzilla too is because most of the Godzilla I've seen are, people in suits. Even with a little bit of CG on it, there's still people in suits. In this case, correct me if I'm wrong, because you've seen the behind the scenes. Did they use more CG than like CG on suits, or?
I think it's more of like a Jurassic Park kind of deal where it's sculpting Godzilla and using shots that way from a sculpture, not people in suits. I could be wrong. I didn't see the behind the scenes this time, but I've seen them previously.
Okay. I wasn't, because I'm not talking about I'm not talking about suits, people in suits, but I'm referring more to animatronics, because one scene in particular with the bullet train and seeing, and even on the even in the school bus on the bridge, very much reminded me of, and I've talked about this before, long-time listeners know that I'm going to gush about this yet again on the show, King Kong Confrontation, which, if anyone's like, what the fuck is King Kong Confrontation? It was a ride at Universal Studios. I believe they shut it down a few years after I went there, probably just to spite me. And it was a beautiful ride where you were on a trolley in San Francisco, Funnily enough, that it was in San Francisco, and you were sitting in it, and there was this. I think when we went there, it was a woman, but I think one of the videos on YouTube has a guy. Basically, it's an actor or actress playing a role of the person who's telling you, here are some of the great buildings and places in San Francisco. Here on our left we have this, and here on our right we have that, and then all of a sudden you just hear like. And I think she or he is trying to be like, what was this? What? Okay, sure, no problem. Oh, hey guys, okay, so there might be a little bit of trouble coming along, but don't you worry, everything will be just fine. And then like in the background you see King Kong off of a building fucking shaking it, and you're like, what's going? And like you're starting to realize that basically King Kong, which fully animatronic, like one of the heads is bigger than the actual trolley.
Right, yeah. No, I'm pretty sure I've been on this ride too because I recognize this.
Good. You should. We've bonded over this before, Tristan. So it's just but it's a beautiful ride because King Kong is literally like you see his face and he's breathing on you, shaking the trolley, and it's just this woman freaking out. Oh, hey, also 8-year-old me. Were we there at the same time? What if we were?
I might have been 7 or 8, somewhere in there.
Okay, because I was 8. Could you fucking imagine? Because I know it was 2000. I have a disc with because my dad took video, not of it, but he took video like of other stuff, at the time. So I remember it was 2000 because my stepmom was pregnant with my brother. So I knew that's why she couldn't make it on the trip. So it was me and my dad. And we went on that ride, and dude, like I just fucking love that ride. Like it's one of the reasons why I love not only animatronics, but which I assume the animatronics were probably part of the upkeep, why that was a bit too expensive. But yeah, so when I see, so that's why I was wondering if they used animatronics a bit like they did with Jurassic Park, or if they were just like CG.
I think that there was a little bit of animatronics in there, but it is mostly CG,
Yes, which again you could kind of tell. Which it's not like I'm going to sit there and say that there shouldn't be CG because I do think that's silly, but it was interesting to not see Godzilla be that slow.
Right. That's
because usually,
because I didn't actually get the chance to ask you this. What did you think about Godzilla? Like how he looked?
It's funny. I think that he was a big old fatty, but that's kind of the way I feel like he's been portrayed, like recently, where it's
that
like
is all muscle.
It makes me think of Kingpin from like Spider-Man, where it's like you're 300 pounds. I'm 300 pounds of pure muscle.
300 pounds of pure go fuck yourself. As he punches you and pile drives you.
No, he just seems very much like the Godzilla that we've seen recently, not just obviously in this movie, but also because Shin Godzilla looked different, thankfully, because obviously he's going to have a different design, but he looks like the anime Godzilla as well, the one that's on Netflix.
Right.
Again, not so much in the face, but the stomach, he definitely is a big boy. Like, he's not on the keto diet. Like, he has carbs. So it's just something interesting, I think, to see from him because it's different.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
No, it's different because remember, my last vision of Godzilla was 1966, where his eyes looked in a way where you were like, I don't know if I like those eyes on Godzilla. Like that's what I'm thinking. Like the last vision of Godzilla, because we've done a lot of 60s Godzilla. Yes. I mean, hell, remember, I'm thinking of the Godzilla where, like, he talks to kids and he does the Godzilla jump dance. Like, this is different. This is much different. This is, again, very much like the anime version that they did, which it would be funny if it was similar renders to make the CG anime versus making the CG here. It would be very interesting if they used a similar render. Because he definitely has this Ancient One vibe about him.
Yes. And I think for me, I really love his design. Like at first, I didn't like it as much, but like seeing behind the scenes stuff and actually looking at it again, like he is built like an apex predator. Like Godzilla's built.
Yes.
Like his arms are a lot more muscular, like a predator's would be. His head and everything, like his neck is gigantic.
Yeah.
It's all about, grabbing your prey with either your claws or your mouth, holding onto it. Like that's what it is for me. He feels like he's anchored in actual anatomy of predators that we know nowadays and have scientifically studied. So I really enjoy his form here because it makes him feel more realistic. And nothing against the suits or anything like that. I still love those Godzillas. I grew up on that shit, so of course. But I really do love the fact that they tried to make him see more of an actual animal that inhabited this planet before. That's what I really enjoyed.
No, it definitely is a different take on Godzilla, but one that I do enjoy because, like you said, he's more like an animal. It feels as if he's not just a rage beast, because again, they're definitely, even though they're not doing the whole Godzilla dancing and hello kids come to the theater thing, they still are taking from the heroic, the anti-hero aspect of Godzilla more than the I am just here to wreck shit and chew bubblegum and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Right.
He's not that Godzilla in this version.
It's not the atomic horror Godzilla that we know from the original movie.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes. I mean, there's a little bit of, like we said earlier, there's still some themes from that film, but he is not the atomic horror. I do wonder what Japanese fans think. I wonder if they think he has any personality or soul, soul or spirit, because I think we've mentioned before that's usually the concern that Japanese fans have with American kaiju movies, is that it seems as if it's more about the action rather than the monsters moving in a certain way or doing this in a certain way. But when you mention the behind the scenes, I do enjoy that there was thought put into the creation, at least of his design. So perhaps one could say that this Godzilla is, in a weird way, a bit more like an animal. Even though he's not a rage beast, he is a bit more like an animal. He's a bit more predatory than previous Godzillas that at least I have seen
and
on
that's
screen.
why I love those scenes where he is hidden in the smoke and the mist and behind a building, or the fact that he comes up behind the female Muto as, she's about to pounce on Brody in the final scene, and he just appears right behind her and grabs, is biting into her back, throws her back, and then is able to, finish the job with the atomic breath. He acts like a predator as well. Yeah,
it's... in that regard, it's funny. Now you've made me love the movie even more. I just wish we saw more of that, more of his predatory behavior against other predators. Again, that's all I care about. But I will admit, though, you're making me want to bump this 8.5 to a 9 now. How dare you? Making me consider.
It's funny, I kind of thought the same way about it the first time I saw it as well. And it's funny, I actually went to the theater to see this with my dad when it came out. And I really love the fact that we did get to do that. Because, it's funny. Well, not funny, but thinking back on it, it was kind of a weird time at that point because it was 2 years after my grandfather had passed away. So, my dad was still kind of reeling from that in a way.
Yeah.
As, most of my family was. So,
and also,
kind of
for context,
the whole thing with,
wait, a little bit of context for those that might not know. You and your dad, your dad grew up with it, and now you grew up with it with your dad, watching not just Godzilla, but other kaiju movies as well. And he even warned you, like every dad should, about watching Frankenstein Conquers the World. And as a bad friend that I am, we've watched and reviewed the movie for the podcast. But either way, just in context, just in case people don't know, you guys have a history of watching these movies. You grew up with watching them with him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so, he was... the whole dynamic with Brody and Cranston was a lot. This is why this movie also kind of sticks with me in another way, other than just watching the movie. Just the time that I saw it and who I was seeing it with. But more to your point, my dad was kind of like, yeah, I kind of wish there was a little bit more Godzilla in my Godzilla movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think even the first one, Gogeta, I'm pretty sure at least they showed more. Granted, even if they didn't, my bad. They didn't. But I could swear that they did. And also another thing, too, is this movie being a little bit over 2 hours long, you think either cut out a little bit that is not Godzilla related or show me more Godzilla.
Right.
And again,
I understand where you're coming from, and I understand where a lot of people come from on that front. But for me, I feel like as a kid, I would have probably not enjoyed this movie as much because obviously I'm just in it for the Godzilla. But being older when this came out and seeing it, I really kind of I was able to grasp and really appreciate how they put the story together, like starting out with the little blurb, but like the opening credits are just going through, the first atomic tests, or not the first, but
yes,
going
I know
through
what
the
you're getting
original
at.
footage with atomic testing, finding Godzilla, going into then, the 90s and having the Mutos first appearance, and then coming to present day, and really going through Brody's character and his childhood and everything that happens to him and how it all connects, and then coming to a head in this day and age. I appreciate the story that the movie told.
And I want you to know, I need to now download sound bites for the soundboard again, because I haven't had them for a while. You know why, though?
Right.
Because when you said, I'm just in this for the Godzilla, all I heard was Batista saying, give me what I want.
Oh, my God.
Give me what I want.
Okay, that's not the direction I thought you were going to take it in. I thought you were going to, play the Godzilla roar.
No,
that
Warner Brothers
That's
could
fair.
legally claim that, and I'd be like, really? Are you really? I'd rather just do it myself. Just, and everyone's like, that's not the Godzilla roar. And I'm like, it isn't, legally.
It is in my heart.
In my kokoro, Gogeta roar.
And then, oh my God.
No, Gogeta.
That's the other thing, too.
Hoidu?
It really feels like they gave Godzilla a really hearty roar in this. Like, it's high-pitched and terrifying at the beginning, but that rumble at the very end where it, goes into his chest a bit, I'm like, oh, now that's an actual living creature's roar. And, again, nothing against old Godzilla roars. I love 90s Godzilla. That roar is, one of my favorites. And the original roar is up there as well. But, this one, for its own iteration, I feel like it definitely has a place in the Hall of Godzilla roars.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's also something that's really hard for us to talk about a little bit as we're going to wrap this up, in the next 10 minutes or so. It's a bit hard for us to talk about it because there hasn't really been a good Godzilla U.S. version until this, because obviously the stuff when we saw as kids were English dubbed, and I'm not going to get into whether or not those were bad or good, but they were still from Japan. So when it came to the roars, they didn't English dub the roars. A bit like how, with Pikachu, it's like you still have the Japanese voice actress for Pikachu doing the voice for Pikachu all these years. Even the English version, Certain Pokemon have had their certain Pokemon have had their stuff changed, but usually it's at least with Pikachu, it's I think not Nintendo, but it was forgot who technically produces the anime, but I'm pretty sure worldwide Pikachu is Pika Pika throughout the world. I don't believe that there's any voice actor who's done Pikachu's voice across the world. Anyway, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below. But what I'm getting at is with Godzilla, it's very hard for us to look at this because and talk about this a little bit because, when looking at 97 Godzilla, we're like, don't. And then we look at this and we're like, wait, is this officially American, good, different, but Godzilla? Because we've had so much Japanese Godzilla in the U.S. for so many years now, it feels like Godzilla has not always been American, but always been a part of American consciousness, at least for how long you and I have been alive.
Right.
Has always been a part of like the pop culture, like Superman or Batman or Spider-Man, right?
Right.
So, and it's like, well, no, but that's Japanese. That's we've only been hearing the English dubs for so long. So now that we have something new, it's interesting to see where they've taken it. And frankly, I'm okay with it because I think when I was younger, I was very much like, no, you need to do this way, and you need to be a stickler about it, and yada yada. But for me, I think I look at it now and I'm like, look. If you need to do something different because especially with something like Godzilla, the original's already been done. So if you don't like this interpretation, then just go watch Gojira. You can still watch it. It's still available. I don't know if it's still available cheaply on DVD. I hope it is. I hope it's in print. But you can still watch Godzilla King of the Monsters. That one I know is super cheap, probably on VHS or multiple DVD versions.
Right.
Yeah, like that American version.
Right.
But no, but I'm just trying to get at
bad.
It wasn't. It was a product of its time.
Yes.
Because that was the first time I think they ever attempted to do something like that. Not just with Godzilla, but because that movie came out in 1955. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, did they ever try to do something like that before 1955? Like, this is a Japanese film, but we're going to put in U.S. clips. And bada bing, bada boom, here it is.
Right.
You like the movie? Like, I can't, I'm sure they had to have done it, but I want to do research and see if they've ever done that before that moment. Because it's a weird concept. It's honestly, I'm shocked that it even took off. Could you imagine if it didn't? It should be like, I mean, I'm sure Japan would have still had a bunch of Godzilla movies, but it might be like, but it might have been like a lot of other franchises where it's just like, I guess this is popular over there, but not really here.
Yeah, I mean, I would be different.
I think I might. I mean, because again, I did not really watch much Godzilla as a kid, but I enjoyed the concept, and I think that's how I got into stuff like Power Rangers and stuff like that. Which again, even Power Rangers, it took 20 years before that finally came over to the U.S. in some form.
Yeah. Right.
So, and even then, even with it still now in the U.S. as Power Rangers, there's still a bunch of Sentai that hasn't legally been available in the U.S. So it's crazy to think about stuff that, but it's still just like with Godzilla, they both had that similar mindset of let's take some of the clips from the Japanese version, let's put inject some U.S. clips in there, let's call it a day, get someone in a VR, in a booth to do some ADR work, voiceover work, call it a day. So it's interesting to think about how the two are, in a way, parallel. Did you think Godzilla was dead at the end when he was just collapsed in the middle of the city? Because I was like, are we getting, Junior in the next movie? What the fuck?
I wasn't sure at the time. I was like, because I had no idea if it was, was it a standalone? Was there going to be more? I had no idea, so I was wow.
I don't believe they were. Yeah, because I don't believe. Maybe they were, and we just didn't.
I don't think it was supposed to be part of a series.
Well,
maybe.
No, if it was.
I'm not sure now.
No, here's the thing. If it was, I don't think we publicly knew about it.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I necessarily thought he was dead, I guess, but...
From the husk comes the son of Godzilla.
I would have left the theater.
I would prefer...
If that had happened, I would have left the theater.
I would prefer Son of Godzilla versus Zilla, though. I don't even know much about Son of Godzilla, but I would prefer him rather than...
You're putting me in a rock and a hard place.
Hey, man, in the anime, you followed Son of Godzilla, so... Remember, they blew up the original one.
Yes, right.
In the anime, they blew up Granddaddy.
Right. God damn.
Yeah. So, odd question as we're kind of getting closer to wrapping this up. Did you honestly think, because I did not, did you honestly think that he was going to end up being the dad and the kid and the mom finding, like, I don't know why. I thought that the mom would have been with the kid before the dad would have been with crutches. I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's the one. That's not the one. That's another issue I think I had. Like, by that point in the movie, it felt like, okay, we got to wrap this up. We're just going to cut to him being with him. Just assume that it worked out because he's military, man. Shut the fuck up. Like,
yeah.
Which I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. It's just I do feel as if at that point they were like, hey, man, we gotta wrap this shit up.
Yeah, we got to wrap up the movie.
Another thing, speaking of wrapping up the movie, they did not have an after-credit scene. I guess you could argue Godzilla getting up is that scene, but it ended like any other, Japanese Godzilla movie of him going into the water. So it didn't seem like
Godzilla goes into the water.
But that's normal. To me, that's not an after-credits thing, So I was wondering if they were just going to have like some tribalistic thing of King Kong or like just a shot of the island or something. Like, I from the looks of it, and this is just my take on it at the time, when they released the King Kong movie, people's eyebrows went up, but nothing was confirmed until people saw the movie, and they were like, oh,
yeah,
wait a minute. And then, of course, interviews afterwards were like, yeah.
Right.
And people were like, oh, no.
Right.
So, yeah. So at the time, this was considered a one-off, and I think even if it was just the one-off, it would have been a great film to just, just a way to say we are better than the original Godzilla film in 1997. I think it's a great, like all you have to do is release this to be like, we have one up to that. Goodbye, everybody.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I do think that some stuff should have been expanded upon, so in a way I'm happy there's a second movie because I do want to learn more about them as a phenomenon, because it would seem a little odd to be like, yeah, so Godzilla exists and so does these other two, but thankfully he killed the other two. Anyway, goodbye.
Right, yeah.
It is odd.
Wait, you mean that nothing else existed? It's like, yeah, it's dead. It's fine. Nothing else is being animated back to life. The ecosystem doesn't work like that, but all right.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm happy that there is going to be another one. Does it make you happy, not just because there's going to be more Godzilla, but are you happy that it's expanded, or were you actually like, or I know you want more Godzilla no matter what, and if it's good, I know that, but do you feel like, because I don't, sometimes it's hard for us to gauge whether or not we sit back and go, is it about the integrity of the movie that like having a sequel ruins it, or is this a case where the movie, in a way, while it stands on its own, it could have another installment just to further expand the universe? What's your take on it? Do you think a standalone, or are you actually happy this has become a monster verse?
I mean, I think I would have been happy either way.
Okay.
I like this as a standalone film but I'm glad, like I said before, there are a bit more elements with, other monsters, obviously, and even Monarch itself. Like, once we see Kong Skull Island, then you start to get a little more about what's going on. And
Monarch,
it's funny,
they're completely
goes back
new
in time as well.
Yeah, Monarch is completely new, right?
As far as I am aware, yes.
Okay, that's good. So Monarch seems completely new, and I know that King Kong Skull Island kind of goes into the past a little bit. So we'll be talking about that next time and see where that takes us. But yeah, I think that I prefer a movie can stand on its own merits, but having things like cameos and tie-ins are nice. But I do think that, just like with Marvel movies, unless it's a sequel to another movie, I do prefer when the movie stands on its own. Again, it's fun to have like little tiny things to tie in here and there, but like Batman v Superman, even though you could argue it was a sequel in a sense, but they tried to fucking set up for Justice League in the middle of the movie. And it was a cool scene, but I got pissed. Because I'm like, can you just do this in an after-credit scene? What the fuck are you doing? Like, you could argue Marvel movies do that, but they do it, in my opinion, a lot more subtly. Maybe with, like, a little random reference that gets picked up later or something like that. But not to just show off a scene of like an apocalypse and have us wink like, see, that was going to happen in the Justice League movie when they all come together. No, fuck you. It's in the middle of your Batman v Superman movie. Let me see what's going on with these two. And
right.
and Luthor. So in this case, I think that I'm actually happy that after credit scene would be nice, but I'm happy that during the movie they actually didn't do some wink or nod towards King Kong or Mothra or Rodan or Ghidorah. It just feels like, even though I do want some more explanation, which someone
right.
could say then that means it's not standalone, I kind of disagree. But even though I want more explanation, it does seem like the movie did what it had to do. There was a
right.
threat. People needed to survive the threat. People needed the info. They got the info. They survived the threat. Godzilla is actually a bit nicer than what we initially perceived. And he says, fuck you to everyone and fucks off. That's the film. So I think it worked. Like, I think it works as a standalone.
I'm glad that we, like, this next movie is going, like, we're expanding, obviously, with other monsters, but, like, in the next movie, now we're opening things up and exploring things a bit more.
Yes, but not as if it took away from this movie, because I think it would have been too heavy-handed. Exactly. It would have been too heavy-handed if you knew and odd if they knew too much in this film about everything.
Right,
exactly. And what's interesting too is that even though we had a little bit of discussion by Sanazawa or Sazawa.
Sarazawa, yeah.
Sarazawa.
I said it wrong earlier.
Oh no, it's fine. Sarazawa. We had a little bit of tidbit of info from him about Godzilla,
right.
But he probably knows a lot more that he has not told people, and that's where the second movie is going to open up with.
Right.
Where it's like these mythical creatures. Oh no, he's like, did I not say anything about that? Whoops. Did I only tell you about what was relevant? Oopsie daisy.
Right. I mean, we were in a crisis at the time. It's not like the military really cared about anything other than the current situation, too. So.
True. But either way, it'll be very interesting. As we're wrapping this up, I want to thank you all so much, as always. Anything else you want to say, Tristan, before we officially wrap this one up?
I mean, I could go on forever. So I think I got out what I needed to. But
all right,
I really
did
sir. Enjoy this film.
Sir, you're getting cut off. What would you give this out of 10? Because again, I'm 8.5, teetering on a 9.
I think I'd give it a 9. Yeah.
That's fair. All right, so thank you all so much. Love you all. Take care. If you guys are listening to this on our Blog Talk Radio account, which is blogtalkradio.com/thoseguysontherradio, thank you. If you're listening to this on our YouTube channel, which is Those Guys on the Radio, because we do put these up as not video podcasts with our beautiful faces, but generally in videos on our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching us there. You could also search us up on iTunes by searching up Those Guys and finding our podcasts and our we have many podcasts that we've done throughout the years. You can find them there as well. And also, by the way, you could listen to us talk about different news topics on Keikaku Corner. I mentioned that a little bit earlier. Again, you could follow us either live on our Twitch, which is twitch.tv/TG Productions, or just listen to or watch the video clips on our Those Guys on the Radio YouTube channel. We also do a lot of different gaming content on our Those Guys Play channel. You can find us there as well. And also a lot of different tokusatsu hodgepodge type of content over at our TG Productions YouTube channel. Again, you can follow us all through those different accounts, or even go to our social media accounts like our @ThoseGuysRadio Twitter account, or over to our Facebook, facebook.com/ThoseGuysOnTheRadio, or even our website, tgproduction.net, and follow everything that we do because we have a lot of different content on a lot of different platforms. So we love you all so much. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast, and tune in next time for the next Friday Night Movies, where we're going to try to tackle King Kong Skull Island. I'm going to confirm it right now, Tristan.
Yay!
Continuity. Yes. I'm hyped. I can't wait. All right, so
good.
Love you all. Take care. Tune in next time. Good night. Say good night, Tristan.
Good night, everyone. The kaiju are out there.
Run!